that we're building a foundation and we're building a set of tools, education, in order for Voyadoers to grow, because this will be the way you work in the future.
Welcome to a brand new episode of the Stay Hungry podcast, the podcast where we explore how organizations can turn knowledge into a true business driver. In today's episode, I'm joined by a very special guest, Erica Sandelin Ekelund, the CEO of Voyado. Voyado helps leading retailers and e-commerce brands to personalize customer experiences and grow through data-driven marketing and loyalty programs. I'm super excited about unpacking how Voyado manages to win in a rapid changing landscape. To get us started, could you briefly tell us about your background and when you first got in touch with Voyado?
My journey with or at Voyado started back in 2017. So I've always been in the private equity world, investing in entrepreneurs and helping them to take the next step in their growth journey. And I really love that type of experience, because you get to talk to one entrepreneur one day who has founded a company within his niche, and then you go on and meeting another entrepreneur, and everyone really thinks that and believe really in their companies, but needs support on the next journey. And that is actually the same with Voyado. So back in 2017, I worked for the Axel Johnson family, and they have an investment arm which is called Novax. And the purpose for Novax is to find the next big branch for Axel Johnson. And back then, back at 2015 when I started, Axel Johnson was heavily invested into retail with Åhléns, Kicks, Lagerhaus, Flippa K, Opohem. And I wanted to see if I could find businesses that could actually help these retailers to grow and to grow in a profitable way. So I started to exploring retail tech companies. And I went to this event hosted by a company called Cito. And it was a partner event. So up on stage came Voyado. And I was floored. I was floored because of many factors. But one, it was a tech company being solely focused on one customer vertical, being retail. And also how they built the system. They've built the system on actually helping the end user. And back then I sat a different retail like board position, and I saw how the retailers were suffering because they had bought in this fancy tool, but they couldn't really work with the tool. So every time they wanted to send out a campaign, they had to call the IT consultants and asking for help. And that IT consultant helped them, but they always sent an invoice. So I understood that this is something, this is a company that is onto something that I want to explore further. So I came to the Voyado office, and yeah, for those of you who haven't been here, there is something about this office. It's a vibe coming in. We've invested a lot in the office, so I knew stepping into the office that this was something that I wanted to join. But it wasn't easy. It took almost a year to convince the founders that they should take in us as an investor, so Novax. So in 2018, we became an investor, the first external investor. I became a board member, and that's how my journey started. Then a year later, the founder called me and said, now you've seen the company from a board position, now you should really come and do the heavy lifting. And he asked me to be a CFO. He didn't know what a CFO was. I probably didn't know exactly what that would actually require. But I joined the operational side, and it's been the best decision of my life. So I was a CFO between 2019 and until last year, when I was asked to step up as a CEO, which was not it was not a hard choice. I said yes immediately.
Fantastic. So when you first got in touch with Voyado, how many people were working at Voyado at the time?
Around 70.
70? And since then, obviously, you have evolved and become a super fast SaaS company scaling internationally. How many people are working at Voyado now, roughly?
400.
400. Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. And the turnover, I guess, have been following that curve as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say it has tenfolded from back then. So around 70 million in turnover, and we are exceeding 700 now in turnover. We talk a lot about ARR. That's the contract that we actually sign with customer, and that's around 50 million euros now.
Fantastic. So you came in as a CFO, doing the heavy lifting, as you mentioned. How has your perspective shifted when it's come to leadership in terms of going from CFO to CEO? That's quite a step, right?
Yeah, no, but it is. And so since I didn't really have the background as a CFO, I was also allowed to cater that role. So I included, or in my scope, it was M&A and it was business development and strategy. So my role got broader and broader. So for example, I implemented OKRs into the company. So I started working on how to get everyone at Voyado as we scaled rally behind what we believe is like the next move for the company that is super important if we were to succeed with our long-term goal. So I started off there, but obviously that was not the same thing as then leading the entire company. So I have to say I've learned along the way. We have together recruited superstars into the team. I have a chief of people and culture, Jennifer Smith. She has come in. She has a background of both Spotify and NASDAQ, but she has taken all the lessons that she's learned and implemented it in a sound way. Because if she would have just implemented everything at once, like process, routine, and because she has a North Star, we would have died. So together we have built the company and the leadership team in a sound way, I have to say.
Interesting. So do you remember any specific milestones throughout your journey with Voyado so far that really did an impact on you personally, but also in your journey as a company?
Yeah, I think there are several, obviously, but one of them being when we acquired a company called Aptus in Lund. That was end of 2021. We were roughly 200 employees at Voyado, and we acquired a company of less than 100 employees, so around 75. And they had their office in Lund, south of Sweden, and had one type of culture. And we had offices then in all the way up from Åre down to Norrköping. And putting these two types of companies together and integrating them was not easy. And I think we made a lot of mistakes. One of them being we integrated some teams, but we decided not to integrate all the other teams, meaning that there were key employees that actually didn't know what's going to happen when we integrate these teams. And there were a lot of question marks just because we didn't communicate on the entire journey. So we learned a lot of that, and also how to work with different cultures. We had a very low eNPS in the office of Lund, the company that we acquired. And when we decided on this is a real issue, we need to do something, that actually have shifted from being the lowest eNPS within our offices to being the highest. So really taking that lessons and implementing, because we will do more M&As in the future, and we've learned a lot from that. Other ones being when we're going internationally, we have offices in Amsterdam, London, and Munich. And how do you get those offices not to feel as satellite offices, feeling a part of the bigger organization, and also enabling them to like the cooperation that you can actually get in the coffee machine here in Stockholm. That type of communication. You need to enable that to be able to have it on Slack or Teams or whatever.
Obviously, the world is changing faster than organizations can adapt. How important is it for you as a company to have a learning organization, you think?
No, but I think that's super important. So our culture philosophy is that we're in it together, and that is like is no like no solo acts. We do everything together, but it also means that we try together. We try, we learn, and we have a culture where it's okay to fail. And if you don't have that acceptance, and if you don't have that culture of saying, you know what, I really like that you tried it out, it didn't succeed. What did you learn from it? And we try to have that and talk about that broadly, because otherwise, I think you really like the creativity that you can actually create will die out. So we learn a lot on that, and also we try with different initiatives. We have Voyado Boost, where we have a certain amount of Voyadoers who each year go a boosting program. It's all about learning how to become a manager, but it's also being and learning more about Voyado strategy, so you can be boosted and grow within Voyado. We have different leadership program for leaders, and also job shadowing, I think, is a really good initiative. So at least once a year, we have initiative where you can shadow someone at Voyado in a different department. So that actually means that you can try out and see how it is to work within another department, to see if you have a future job career there. So we can keep talented Voyadoers if they feel that they've reached their max within a certain role. Enable that you as a Voyadoer to change within Voyado.
So it sounds like you really have a bunch of structured programs to follow up with your employees to create this learning culture, right?
Yeah.
Often something that we see when it comes to being business critical about change is a few areas where companies normally invest in knowledge sharing to be able to ramp up the results. And a few of these areas are revenue and value generation. So on the commercial side, you often see sales teams and commercial teams getting a knowledge initiative help to reach their goals. Another one is product and service adoption. So you want your existing B2B SaaS product to adopt to your existing customers to transform the way they interact with your current products, right? We often see policy and compliance governance, so stay ahead of regulatory and industry standards. And the fourth one is onboarding and workforce enablement. Which one of those would you say that you have a structured approach to? Maybe all of them or one or two of them?
Yeah. I would say the most structured today is the onboarding, because we're using LearnStar as an example. So we get really high scores on our onboarding process, and it is that you actually, when you start, you can get the tools and you can get onboarded as soon as possible. We have loads of videos and tests to get onboarded within the company, but also then certain areas within your teams. And then there is some compliance that yes, everyone needs to take a part of in terms of courses. But then that really takes you some bit. But then you need to add the physical. So once a quarter, we bring everyone from all the teams, all the offices into Stockholm, and we have physical onboarding. And those two really complement each other really, really well, because you get the first knowledge by the digital onboarding, and then we complement with actually meeting everyone, and they do not sit in a room for 2 days. They do different types of activities to get to know each other. It's like starting high school when you get grouped into your buddy system. Those who actually onboard together, they actually have a journey together at Voyado, and I really like that, those two aspects of the onboarding journey. So that's, I think, where we succeeded really well. In terms of sales, I would say we have not invested enough. We have learning and development dedicated person here at Voyado, but that's just one person. Now we have recruited a person who works with sales enablement, actually enable sales to find, okay, where do we have a problem now? Okay, it's probably converting prospect from one stage of the funnel to the next, or we win or lose in some areas and not. Having all that data and then making and rolling out courses dedicated to solve a problem. We have underinvested in that area in the past, but now since a week back, we have a person coming in with that experience, and I'm so much looking forward how we could see and the effect of it. We believe that at least we should increase the sales capacity of 20% by introducing these types of functionalities internally.
Are you in the leadership team involved in setting up these knowledge initiatives? Because that's what we're trying to do at LearnStar as well. We're trying to connect the business leaders with the knowledge leader in the organization, and the knowledge leader typically be L&D team or HR teams. And on the business side, obviously C-level. How do you interact in your organization between the two?
No, but that's a really fair question. Like, first of all, I was a part of that recruitment process. So obviously wanted to meet the final candidates because it's a very important role for us. Then the sales enablement is reporting to our CRO, so reporting to a C-level. But that person already have had meetings and will have a tight dialogue with the management team in order where do we have problems, where do we want to move, and actually can take those actionable insight and make sure that we improve in certain areas.
Yeah, because growth is obviously a super dynamic thing. So many parts of the company that has to work in conjunction to be able to sustain growth, right? And knowledge initiatives and knowledge sharing is just one part of it. So doing what you have done, connecting the business leaders and the knowledge leaders can really accelerate the results. It's really interesting to hear how you've managed to do that as well.
We haven't managed yet, but we are getting there.
Yeah, you're getting there.
I don't want to give too much credit yet.
The journey is never fully complete, right? You can always improve along the way.
Yeah, and I think you can start by looking like at your sales capacity. So if you have a number of quota carriers, you should have a bell curve where the majority hit their target each quarter. But if you have like quite a scattered sales organization where some overperform and some like underperformance and rarely none in the middle, then you obviously have a problem. And learning and development can actually help you solving that problem, making sure that everyone have the tools and processes in order to be a performer account executive.
Do you think it's part of having a structured approach, but it's also part of the culture? So you have to combine the two to get the maximum efficiency out of it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as you're scaling, there are a lot of processes needed in order for you to speed up. A lot of people coming from smaller companies are a bit afraid of being forced to slow down because you have process, but processes for a company like Voyado at our scale is to run faster. Because instead of having to ask or getting the information from different type of places, if you have that in place, you will be able to run much faster, and it would be much simpler to do the job.
Obviously, this is about alignment between the business leaders and knowledge leaders. And now you've created the programs, you created the content needed, you created the facilities, having the physical meetings to make things happen. But the next step is really how to activate and making sure that the workforce is using their the new knowledge in their daily work. How do you manage to make sure that is happening throughout the organization?
Yeah, but you based on the tool that you're using, you can actually see how many have done the courses, and you can do tests to see if that actually helps the result. You can also look at win rate and also I think using that data, and then you can come back to the organization. Okay, we have these folks who have actually done the courses really, really well. Look at their results. The conversion for them of taking a lead from stage 4 to stage 3 or actually winning has increased by X%. I think you also need those types of examples to make sure that everyone wants to do the courses or the education, read the material, because sometimes you need to show good cases of examples in order to get the ones who are a bit hesitant to actually embark the new journey.
So we're coming back to connecting the KPIs from your knowledge initiatives to your actual business goals, right?
Yeah. No, and I think at Voyado we work, we try to be as transparent as possible with everything from our ownership agenda all the way down to actionable KPIs. And for me, it's I often talk about going on a road trip together, because you need to be inspired. Where are we heading as a company? Where do we want to be in a couple of years' time? That's the end goal. That's the end destination. And for that, you need inspiration, and you need to be inspired from your owners. You need to get that clear vision. Where do they want the company to be in a couple of years' time in terms of not only financial KPIs, but as a company? And based on that clear ownership agenda, you can set a strategy, you can set a vision, and you can set a long-term plan. And then when you have that, then it's time to make sure you're on the right path. And for me, I like to call it like you need a Google map. You need to know, okay, I'm now going to south of Italy. Am I going on the right road, or have I taken the wrong route? And then for that, you need a GPS or Google Maps. And I'm translating that to OKRs. So knowing that if long-term goal is to get to Italy, next year I'm going 30% of the way, and am I going in the right direction? Using OKRs to know, okay, I'm moving from step A to step B next year, and is the company rallying behind those initiatives? And for that, you need strategic, or we call it strategic intents, but that's the OKRs. And then the third one being, okay, is the car doing okay? Do I have enough engine or fuel in the tank? And for that, on a monthly basis or weekly basis, look at health metrics. Do we have the organic growth? Is it is it still healthy? Do we have enough cash on the balance sheet, etc.? And those are fundamental KPIs that you as a leadership team need to look at in order to know that the underlying business is actually doing okay. So that's how I like to talk about to the entire team at Voyado on knowing where we're heading, why, and how we're doing it.
So basically, it's about following the KPIs, and once you see you're off target, that's how you prioritize your knowledge initiatives as well then.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's more, I think, on looking at the monitoring KPIs, and seeing that, okay, in UK, for example, we're off track in filling the pipe with new leads. What are we actually doing this year that we didn't do last year, vice versa? And then make some learning initiatives based on that.
Very good.
But also learning initiatives could be on, okay, we're now saying we're moving towards enterprise customers. That's a big strategic shift for the company. And it's not like saying, hey, company, now we're going to go and build towards and sell towards enterprise company. Then you need to educate the company, because that's a transformation for everyone, and not just think that everyone going to know how to do it. And it's also so that is one of our biggest that's one of our OKRs for this year. The second one is the transformation within AI, and we took it really seriously. So this year, that is one of our objectives, making the adoption within AI increase at the company. So we did in the beginning of the year, we did a pulse check, seeing how many are users and more being more like using the tools much more. So we did a pulse check in the beginning of this year, and we're doing one now as well to see if we actually increase the adoption. And based on all of the information we got in January, we've done different initiatives in order to increase the way how you actually work with AI, because it's not going to come from the individual yourself if you don't understand why, and then you can base learning initiatives based on that. So that's another example where we used learning initiative to increase the adoption of AI internally.
We've been talking about the internal perspective on knowledge sharing quite a bit. Have you done any efforts on external knowledge sharing? With that, I mean educating your current customers in your existing products, or educating the market even. Have you done anything structured in the same manner there?
Yeah. So we have Voyado Academy, and also using Learnser for that. But so it's all about how do you scale? How do you scale to educate your customers? Because we are targeting the mid-market segment, and then also having some larger customer and then some smaller customers. And how do you scale in educating your customers as you grow? Because you can't have one-to-ones with all customers, and you need to be able to let them learn themselves, because you might have customer that want to do and learn about Voyado when our Voyado is not working. So you need to have a system where they can actually feel free and find the information themselves. So we've introduced a Voyado Academy where customers can grow with their learning as a Voyado user, because we are quite a rich sort of suite of two main products with a lot of features inside, and we're a growing company, and we try to be as fast as possible in launching new types of features to the market, so our customer can grow with us and do even more stuff with Voyado. And since we do have since we're launching new features a lot, we need to educate the customers about how Voyado is growing as a product, and hence the need of an academy.
And that makes sense. You need to educate the market to be able to understand what you can do with the new technology, right? And in terms of change management, how do you personally approach change? Because you're in an AI transformation right now as well.
Yeah, no, but as I said before, so our third OKR is mastering efficiency. And what that means is working smarter by modernizing workflows, integrating AI, and upskilling employees. So that is our objective. And so we did a pulse check early this year, and the goal is to get everyone from a user to more of experience level. And then we've understood what initiatives we need to do. So we have an AI council as an example, which is like our chief of product people and culture, our general counsel, our CTO, a lot of people from engineering, and our CIO, etc. So we actually have a council that the organization can talk to, and they also do different initiatives in order to upskill. But then it's all about getting all the managers to start working with it, because if they are scared and don't understand the why, they will never be able to get their teams to working with AI. So as an example, I need to talk to my direct reports on saying, how are you using AI? How are you exploring? How are you making your work much more efficient? And how are you working with your teams? And then they can start saying that actually to their team. So I think it starts with myself being a role model, saying where I can use it, and then starting to ask my organization how they're using it, and doing that on a weekly basis.
What do you think is needed for Voyado to succeed in the next phase? You spoke about AI, of course. I'm thinking about, like, as an organization, what are you looking for to be able to future-proof your organization? But also, like, when it comes to competences, what are you looking for in your employees to be able to make the shift?
Yeah, so we are a very Swedish heavy company. When I took over as a CEO, I looked within the management team. We had a meeting, and I said, like, okay, we're saying we're going to go international, but like everyone here lives, I don't know, 3 kilometers away from the Luma Stockholm office. That's not an international company. So I've started to, again, set the example and recruit a CRO being based in the UK. We're now looking, and we have a CFO who comes. He's Swedish, but he's lived his whole career life in the US. And then now we're looking for other C-levels being a more international profile. So that's one initiative. I'm trying to make the company more international, because as they join Voyado, they know what good looks like in terms of where we want to be, and they can help and recruit those types of key roles that we probably didn't know existed in the past. So again, setting the example and looking what I can do. And I believe if I start making a change, that will actually have triple effect down into the organization. So for me, when I recruit, I'm really emphasizing that we are in it together, and that's the culture I want to keep, because we all know that people that have been brought up in US firms probably are not used to of the non-solo acts. Like, we do this as a team. It's not one person show. So I'm really cautious of that when I recruit, that they're recruiting someone who knows what good looks like, but also not forgetting about our core values.
So the cultural aspect is obviously super important. Well, regarding the transition again, AI, of course, what do you think it's going to take from you as a leader in terms of managing the transformation through AI in the upcoming 2 years?
So I think it depends if you ask from a product perspective or from an internal perspective. But if we start from the internal perspective, I think the initiative that we have with the OKR for this year is a good example of actually transforming the on the way how we work internally with AI. Because what I'm trying to say to the organization is that take the opportunity now, because even if you want to find another job outside Voyado, having been able to take courses, being educated, knowing a new way to work with the AI will help you immensely within your future career. So I'm really trying to make the entire organization understand that we're building a foundation and we're building a set of tools, education, in order for Voyadoers to grow, because this will be the way you work in the future. So that's really how shifting and getting the organization with me. Then in terms of product, obviously we need to find our way on what type of AI the product or the customer wants in the product. And for one of our products, it's built based on LLM, so large language model. So I would say we are quite a couple of years ahead the market. And then in terms of our other product, it's more about efficiency. So we're looking how we can introduce AI to make it even easier for the customer to work with flows and automate a lot of stuff in the product. So I think it's really important to separate and not think that it is the same on how you work with AI internally, and if you're a product company, how to introduce AI into the product.
Two totally different processes, right?
Yes.
And you've been through this journey for quite a while. What advice when it comes to knowledge initiatives can you give other leaders out there who are on similar journeys and wants to succeed like you did at Voyado so far?
No, but I think realizing that if you grow, it is really expensive to find the new right talent, and it is needed for some roles to find someone externally coming in with that type of experience. But for many roles, it is so expensive if you get the attrition too high, and especially if those are regrettable losses. So make sure that you have a learning culture internally, so there is internal mobility, and you can grow as an employee, so you can keep actually your key talents instead of them going elsewhere because they feel that they've reached a certain limit. So making sure you have that learning culture and getting people to grow.
And what do you think will separate the successful companies from those who struggle in the next 5 years?
Well, like, good question. I think going back to keeping your key employees or your winners, because if they don't feel that they can grow within the company, or they don't stand or stay behind your culture philosophy, they will move elsewhere. So making sure that you recruit right, you recruit leaders, and you then keep them. And it's not only about having different learners initiatives. It's also about staying focused, and if you have a culture, then don't forget about that culture as you grow.
Erica, this has been such an inspirational conversation from Voyado's growth journey on how you align and activate and scale your priorities in the organization, and how you lead through constant change. I think our listeners will take away some very useful lessons. And before we wrap up, what's the one key message or idea that you hope sticks to our audience today?
If there's one advice when I talk to people, especially young people, and they ask me for one advice, is always to make sure you have a good manager and a leader, because that manager will help you grow and make sure that you actually can grow within the company. And so for an employer, that means that make sure that you have those great managers that can make the organization thrive. So that's my final words.
Thank you so much, Erica, for sharing your insights and experiences here with us. For you who are listening, make sure to follow Erica on LinkedIn and follow Voyado on LinkedIn to keep up with the journey. Links will be available in the description of this episode. And to you, the listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe on Spotify or YouTube or learnster.com, and let us know what topics you want us to dig deep into next. And until next time, stay curious, keep learning, and as always, stay hungry for knowledge.